Well, good morning, everybody. Hopefully, we've got a few people jumping on this morning. I got the chat working this morning. So, g'day, Brendan, Alison, James. Good to see you guys. Great to see a bunch on already. Hopefully, you're all awesome and well. Terrific Tuesday. Nice pinch and a punch for the first day of the month, they say. Hey, good morning, Greg. Good to see you guys there. Give us a shout out wherever you're dialing in from. Good numbers on this morning. So, hopefully everyone's pumped. Everyone's excited about the year ahead, 2022. There's Michelle. Good to see you, Michelle. Got the coffee going. Thought we'd have a quick chat this morning, team, folks, about... Where did I put this one? I think. Let me have a bit of a look. There we go. That's a bit better. Yesterday, we had a quick chat about, some of the things that happened, in the last month, 4 weeks, 6 weeks. Things fly along while we're all having a bit of a break over Christmas and a well-deserved one at that. But I thought we might have a chat today a little bit about the old land tax and what's going on. But a quick hello to some of the regular crew. Great to see you guys. Jeff, third property, settled in a bumper year, 2021. Well, Jeff, you did well, mate. That is fantastic. Great to see that acquisition plan going strong. Fantastic. For anyone who's new here, we have 3 stages. We might get around to that this year. We might have a little review. 3 stages: acquisition, consolidation, lifestyle. And we'll talk about that. Alexis, hey, good morning to you. Nick, good morning. First live stream in a long time, so that's great. Happy New Year to all of you guys too. I was so into the business mode of getting this stuff done. Forgot to wish all of you a happy and successful and prosperous New Year. And Chinese New Year coming up soon, Alison says. So, yeah, good to see you, Tanya. Bob, it's all happening. It's good to see everyone on this morning. But listen, let's talk about something a little bit structural, functional this morning when it comes to the world of land tax. Land tax. And, taxes are one of those things. Chuck it in the chat, little pop quiz. What are the taxes we must learn to minimise, team? While I'm doing my little list here, what are the taxes we must learn to minimise and manage as property investors? Because if you don't, this, being successful in property investing, the difference between successful and not successful is kind of like little paper cuts, all right? Little paper cuts of taxes, expenses, small mistakes build into big problems later on. And for all of us, we need to get it right at the start. So what are they? Alison's in there. We need to manage, team. You need to manage your PAYG tax. Most of us don't have lots of spare income just floating around, do we? I mean, let's face it, folks. You've got to get the most out of what you got, and you've got to be smart. On average, 20 to 25% of your everyday income is going to the government. And to be honest, I don't think you can grade a lot for it. PAYG, income tax, Chriso's on it as well. Chris is there. You got to manage it. But today's not about that tax, but we do have some strategies and some plans around that. So we can chat about that in the coming days and weeks, team. PAYG tax, boom. It's a duty, stamp duty, but you need to know how to manage stamp duty. Okay. So people say, it's not a tax. Well, it kind of is a tax, How do we do that? There's a couple of ways to do that. Won't be talking about that one today. The big kahuna, capital gains tax. Capital gains tax is the one, folks. If you don't already know this, you should understand how to minimize your capital gains tax. Almost, for many of us, can have zero capital gains tax, tongue twister, zero capital gains tax if you're smart and you're strategic on how you put your deals together. But again, we're not going to do that one today. Jason John. Hey, Jason John Byron. Did you know that that's my first 2 names as well? Jason John Witten. There you go. You must be a good bloke. There you go. Greg, dead right, mate. How do you minimise capital gains tax? Well, never bloody sell. Hey, we've got 2 sayings around here. two important ones. Buy well, never sell, and this thing's a marathon, not a sprint. Just remember those because they are absolutely something that's going to help you out. Land tax, we're going to get on to that one today. Land tax, folks. We need to manage that. And one down here, which most of us or many of us won't have to worry too much about, will be GST. GST. But depending if you're trading and buying and selling, if you're a developer, you need to understand that one, okay? But, yep, Jason, pay no tax. Just keep the bloody things. That is right. Buy well, never sell. This thing's a marathon, not a sprint. So let's get on with it. Let's have a bit of a look at what is happening and what the challenge is. If you guys don't remember or don't know, I'll do a quick a refresher with a terrible picture of Australia. That is hideous, Jason. All right, I'm going to get rid of that one. That's probably one of the worst versions of Australia I've ever drawn. This one doesn't seem to be much better, but I'm going to leave it with that. And Tasmania is probably in the wrong spot. But folks, other than my terrible drawing here, which hopefully you get the picture, we have got in Australia 5 states, 2 territories, and one of the strategies we have deployed for over 20 years, helping our property investors minimize the cost, the daily, monthly, yearly cost of owning real estate for their future wealth, has been the diversification strategy across different states, different places, to minimize our land tax. It's smart to do so, folks, because if you think about this, and many of you guys would know this, we say, listen, for most of you, you need to have in your sights as a minimum 5 to 6 investment properties in your acquisition phase, acquisition, consolidation, lifestyle, and, over this period of time, whatever it might be, 20 to 30 years, you need to get on with it over here. 5 to 6 properties as fast and as effectively as possible. More if you want. 5 to 6 will do the trick. And then over time, you let them grow. You let the income grow. You maintain them. You manage them. You fix them up, whatever it might be. And that's going to get you the wealth you desire. Listen, it's not a get-rich-quick scheme. If anyone's new here, if you're new and you're like, what's this property stuff? I'm going to get rich quick because everyone's been making money in the last year. I want to double the value of my property in 2 years. Well, you're absolutely kidding yourself. Just let me tell you right now. And listen, don't be a good time Charlie in the real estate world. This is a 15 to 20 year plan. You can do things to speed it up, but that's not what I'm talking about. Anyway, don't let me get distracted today. We're talking about land tax. How do we manage land tax? Folks, chuck it in the chat for me. I always love to see you guys interacting in this stuff. And I know a few of you guys are in our mentoring program where you get coached and mentored by very experienced property investors who've been doing this for decades and decades and have got multiple properties themselves in the double-digit properties across Australia and New Zealand. But we've got the spammers back today again. I don't know. Can anyone block those spammers? What's this thing here? Anyway, I won't get distracted either. So listen, what has been ways to manage that? And Greg's on it very quickly there, Greg. It's like, okay, yeah, there's 2 ways to do it, which is great. Jason's there and Greg. So we've got 2 ways to do it. You can buy in multiple states, so different states. Okay, so different states. Each state has its own land tax threshold. So different states. Hopefully you can see the green there. You can buy in different entities. Okay, what is an entity? Well, a few of the guys are already putting it up there. You can buy in your personal name. You can buy in your self-managed super. You can buy in your trusts. Now, some of the states have shut that down. I'll show you in a minute. Can you get a benefit and blah, blah, blah. But one of the better ways or the best way was buying across different states. Now, listen, Sharon chucked one in there, which I love the idea of. And many of you guys might sort of, it might put a scratch in your record, this one. But when you buy apartments, the land content of an apartment is actually quite low. Your land tax is super low on an apartment in comparison to a house of the same value. Now, a lot of uneducated, ill-informed people spout and sparook that apartments are rubbish, not as good as houses. Well, it's absolute bullshit, folks. I've been doing this for 25 years, and there is zero evidence of a good apartment versus a good property being better or worse than the other one. And when you do all the math on it, land tax, your house becomes worth $2 million. Well, you can pay more land tax as an investment. If you've got an apartment worth $2 million, you're not paying as much land tax. So there is, you should be open to understanding the pros and cons of each. No one investment is perfect. And if anyone tells you that, they're full of shit. Let me tell you. So, but be open, be smart, and learn, and ask good questions. Anyway, off on a tangent here, folks. All right. Now, listen, I've got to finish at 8:30 today because I've got to take my daughter to her dance studio. She's got a traineeship. So stay on track, Jason. Stay on track. Let's do this, folks. What happens, the best way was to do it in different states. If you think about this, 5 or 6 properties, and if you had 5 properties in Victoria, well, you're going to be over the land tax threshold, team. And you'll be paying land tax, and that won't be fun. And especially if you end up with 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 properties, you grow into the future. You want to manage that. It can be a bit expensive. Ashley, I'm not a great dancer and I'm not a great singer, but I do. I'm not bad at a backspin. Back in the day, I used to be pretty good at the break dancing. Anyone remember that? Break dancing? Shows how old I am. Anyway, all right, concentrate, Jason. So multiple states were the best way and also a smart way to diversify your risk in different locations, different styles of property, etc. So, the idea might have been, you live in New South Wales and you got your PPR in New South Wales. Your PPR in New South Wales, you buy one in ACT, you buy an investment. You buy an investment in New South Wales, you buy an investment in Victoria, you might buy one in Queensland, let's say, and you might buy one in South Australia. And then you've got a multiple of properties all under Electric Boogaloo. Oh, my Lord. That's a blast from the past. Electric Boogaloo. Yep, terrible singer as well. Don't get me started. All right, well, and then you'd end up with multiple different properties in multiple different states, which literally you get to fly under the radar, okay? You don't end up busting through any of the land tax thresholds in each of the states, and then you don't pay land tax. So that was the plan. That was the plan. Well, the cheeky chops in Queensland are thinking that they might try and change that. It hasn't been passed yet, folks, by the way. So don't jump off a cliff just yet. That's a bit full on. But yeah, don't get too carried away. All right. It hasn't been done yet. So let's have a look at this. And here, this is from this is a bit of a chart, give you an idea. Hey, listen, we could own some property in the Northern Territory and there's no land tax at all. I'm not saying buy in the Northern Territory, by the way. It's not my favourite place to own real estate, but it did all right for a while. But it's not a big enough place. I like populations. I like diversification of income and economics and stuff like that. So, folks, just think about that as we go. But let's bring this to a close as for today's discussion. If you see the tax-free threshold in this stuff, then, this is where we're, having to think about the land value of our properties in each of the states. And we're going, well, over and above this land value, it's not the value of your property, by the way. It's the land value. I'll have to pay some sort of tax, and there'll be a calculation and all those sort of things, and I'm not going to muck around with those today. But, if you own it in a trust, there'll be either a surcharge or a zero tax-free threshold. If you're a foreign owner, you get, you don't get much love. WA is not too bad. So when we're calculating this, we're thinking, all right, well, if we own it across multiple states, then we can fly under the radar. However, Queensland, good old Queensland, they've decided, hey, listen, if you own properties anywhere else, we're going to bundle those together and we're going to start you from that cumulative calculation as you go. Yeah, Alison, I think that's true. Unfortunately, governments are pretty short-sighted when it comes to this stuff. The number one risk, your number one risk, my number one risk, folks, our number one risk is, and this is a prime example, the risk is to investors of any description, maniac politicians changing legislation at the drop of a hat. You'd build your strategy around this and then they'll make up some shit. And then, your expenses and your cost, chuck your thing out. They're the number one risk in the marketplace. Anyway, there you go. Queensland is proposing to bundle anywhere else you own real estate as a value, and then that's where your land tax threshold gets calculated from to go from. That's the proposal, team. We'll see what happens. We're in there going to sign the petition against it. I think it's a grubby cash grab, but there's nothing we can do about it other than say no in a petition and change our strategy if we need to, folks. So that's it from me today. Wealth Coffee Chat, pretty well done and dusted. Let's say if you want to join me each day, I'm going to start at 8:10 each day. And let me know in the chat if there's something that you want me to talk about. I've got a few things to catch up on from over the break, but I'll leave. They are getting greedy. Stay away from Queensland property. I don't think it's that bad yet, Bob. I don't think it's that bad yet, mate. You should own one or two in Queensland. It's got a big future, certainly with the Olympics coming and other things. But yeah, you might not. You might think about it doing it a different way. I think the other states will get on the bandwagon, by the way, folks. But there you go. So thanks for the shout-out, team. Great to have all of you on today. Love and appreciate your support. Let's hang out each morning, 8:10, for about 20 minutes. We'll have a Wealth Coffee Chat, chew the fat, get things pumped up for the day. As I always say, this thing's a marathon, not a sprint. We should hang out together with the right people, with the right mindset. And don't forget this one, buy well, never sell. That's my catch cry, and hopefully you guys think the same. All right, that's it from me, team. You guys be well. Go forth and prosper. Awesome to hang out. See you tomorrow at 8:10. Bye-bye. I'll keep you guessing, Jason. We've got plenty to discuss. See you tomorrow, 8:10.